This video is sponsored by NordPals. Stay tuned to find out more. My favorite part of any Power Rangers show is when they add their own unique element to make their adaptation a little more original. Whether that's adding a whole new battilizer for the Red Ranger or just having some bikes for the team to use, there's definitely a lot you can do for originality. But one of the biggest accomplishments of any Power Ranger show is creating a Ranger from scratch. And we saw this in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, right? They tried it with the Dark Rangers, which are an abomination. I say this every time I mention them. As well as the Ninja Rangers from Season 3, but you know, they were like cloth. But it wasn't until Titanium Ranger in the year 2000 when we saw our first whole new Ranger that design goes in line with the rest of the team. Then of course 8 years later we saw the Spirit Rangers in Jungle Fury, a trio of whole new Power Rangers that never appeared in the Sentai of origin. But the thing was that the Spirit Rangers premiered in the toy line months before they ever premiered in the show. So when we saw 3 new mysterious figures in the RPM toy line, let's just say fans had some assumptions. Yo, what's up everybody, it's Este here, and today we're talking about the forgotten trio of Rangers that was the Paleomax Rangers. But in order to understand the Paleomax history, we gotta talk about the Spirit Rangers just a little bit more. 2008 saw the introduction of the Spirit Rangers, a trio of Paishwa masters who were originally brainwashed by Daishi to control ranger-like entities of their animal spirits. Once they were freed, they were allowed to be summoned by our main 3 Jungle Fury Rangers. And this team was kind of created, you know, for money purposes and toys, obviously, but they were mostly made to go in line with the main auxiliary Zords that would go along with the Jungle Prime Megazord. That was the Bat, Elephant, and Shark animal spirits. And even though their appearance in the Power Rangers Jungle Fury series was leaked on Japanese magazines, they appeared first in the toy line months before. As this first wave of figures in the Jungle Fury toy line had these 3 Rangers in a non-Jungle Master mode, as shown in a comic book storyline released alongside the toys, telling the stories of how the Masters of the Rangers were once rookies just like them. But moving on to 2009's Power Rangers RPM, the show is about to end for good, like Disney was about to woo! What was that? I don't know. The show was about to end. Disney had just bought Marvel. Disney did not care about the Power Rangers anymore. I don't think they ever did. So they were ready to end it right there with RPM. They gave the people whole creative control, like do whatever you want with the show. We're gonna end it anyways. And the funny thing was, they were gonna end it a year before with Jungle Fury. So those Spirit Rangers showing up would have been an amazing end to Power Rangers because, you know, we got some original Rangers for the last season, but no, due to contractual obligations with Bandai of America, they had to make another season. So right after Jungle Fury end, we saw some Power Rangers RPM figures start to pop up in the wild, with the first line of figures being similar to any other Power Ranger series, featuring the 5-inch full throttle Power Rangers of our main 5. This first wave didn't have any original out of the blue Rangers like Jungle Fury did. However, it wasn't long until we saw Wave 2. That summer, fans were caught by surprise, as we would have both the gold and silver RPM figures to represent the new 6 Ranger on the team, and in addition we had 3 all-new Rangers. These were the full throttle Mammoth, Triceratops, and T-Rex Ranger figures, or as I like to call them, the Paleomax Rangers. And their colors would be kind of variations of what we already saw on the team. We had a crimson, a light blue, and a gray Ranger. And each of their helmets would represent the animal that they're based on. And as these guys are based off the Paleomax Zords, of course, their helmets represent dinosaurs. And they also have those little headlights on the helmets too that represent eyes. I thought that's cute. The T-Rex Ranger of the team would also have some teeth on their visor. You know, I think that's kind of a reference to MMPR Red and Dino Thunder Red because, you know, teeth, dinosaurs, visors, it's a normal thing. And like the rest of the RPM Rangers, they would all have numbers in their chest going from 10 to 12, which is the same denominations of the Paleomax Zords, which is Scott Truman's personal prehistoric themed set of Zords, as well as the final Megazord that was introduced in the series. So now we had basically all of the Power Rangers RPM Zords represented into Rangers. Well, except for the Croc Carrier Zord and, you know, the Whale Zord, but I think that's something the comics can fix real quick. But these guys were unlike the rest of the Power Ranger team in some little ways. Like, instead of having seatbelts that go along their chest, they kind of had coats with little pop-up collars. I honestly don't know why they had coats. It seems more hipster than Power Rangers, but whatever, I'll let it slide. And also, instead of having those little tire cuffs on their boots, you know, the thing that makes them go really fast to get all the grinders, they would have literal train wheels, like connecting train tracks that would go from circle to circle. I thought that's a really good touch considering these guys are based off trains. And also this was way before Tokuger, so there's also that. Also, these train tracks could be seen on their wrist. Could that have been their morpher? Well, I'm not really sure, as they also came with the little cell shift morpher, folded up to go on their belt. And these figures also would come with nitro swords and blasters, just like any RPM Ranger too in that regard. However, each of these guys would have their own individual weapon that makes them stick out. The Mammoth Ranger would come with a boomerang weapon, while the T-Rex Ranger would come with dual wielding blasters, and the Triceratops Rangers would have a lance. It's kind of like a modern day version of Billy's lance from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I thought that was cool. And in classic Power Rangers fashion, these weapons can combine together to form a team blaster of their own. Real quick though, I just want to add, if you're enjoying this video so far, why haven't you subscribed? Yeah, subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on any single one of my Power Ranger videos. Join the E-Squad today, as we're one of the best Power Ranger fans out there. And also, you know what? E-Squad comment of the day. Leave E-Squad in a funny comment down below, and who knows, you might be in the next video. So even though these figures look so cool and awesome and fans were in love with them when they came out in store shelves, why were they never in the show? Like I said, the Spirit Rangers were leaked on Japanese media months before they came out in Jungle Fury. However, when we saw the photos of RPM come out in those Japanese magazines, we saw no Paleomax Rangers. Well, there's not really a reason to that. But one thing I will say is that the Spirit Rangers, as they were introduced early on in Jungle Fury, had a lot more appearances throughout the toy line as well as the marketing for the show. Even though, weirdly enough, they only appeared in that final arc. However, those Paleomax Rangers, they didn't appear in the show, and they also had very little toys. Out of the 3 Paleomax Rangers, only the Mammoth and the T-Rex would have multiple appearances in the toy line, as they both have their own auxiliary tracks Guardian Rangers, which were more from Ranger to their Zord, the vehicle mode, and an armored Ranger mode. The Guardian armor was also exclusive to this toy line and is similar to the battalizers in the show. That's another fact, RPM didn't have any battlizer of its own. I mean, Jungle Fury didn't either, but Jungle Fury had like the Strike Rider Cruise mode, which was kind of like a battlizer in a way, but just for bikes. RPM just straight up had nothing. And these Guardian toys, that would have been cool to see too. There was also the Auxiliary Tracks Racing Performance Cycles, which allowed the cycles to be transformed into Microzord animals and featured less painted figures of the duo. Yeah, Bandai used to do that a lot. Like, they would have obviously their main figure release, but any other figure after that would come with a bike or whatever, it would have drastically less paint. And these guys, it can be seen there too. The Triceratops Ranger did see his return though with the Racing Performance Cycle Auxiliary Tracks Ranger Cycle. That is a very long title, but also it goes from cycle mode to chopper mode. Why? Not sure. Power Rangers depended on bikes way too much back then. But regardless, these guys never showed up in the show, and maybe it was meant to happen this way. Disney was about to end the show, and they already had blown the budget too early into production, so designing and implementing 3 new Rangers was simply too much to do. They were just meant to be toys. And I think that explains why they didn't show up in the show, as well as why the show never had a battlizer in the first place. The budget was already, poof, out the window, so not a chance in sight. I do have some headcanon though on what their story could have been. Like we see in RPM, the Paleozords was one of Dr. K's earliest creations alongside Venjix, and maybe these were some prototype Rangers she had first created. But since they were based on extinct animals, they could have never made it past the biofield for testing in the real world. Like, it was hard to control the Paleozords when they first appeared in the show, so imagine a team of Rangers. And considering, we're in the apocalypse, any small move could mean complete destruction for the whole world, I don't think Dr. K wanted to risk it for some dinosaur Rangers. We have too much of those. We still do. In the Power Rangers RPM universe, Venjix had infected all the world's computers, taking down their communication, power, and defense systems. But in the real world, imagine what a hacker can do to your account. Well, that's why we have NordPass. Created by the experts over at NordVPN, keep your passwords safe by keeping them all in one secure spot. This is the one cybersecurity tool you need to defend your online data. Even when you're offline, you can access your passwords, credit card data, and secret notes wherever you are, whether it's your flying Zord or your underground secret base. It even recognizes your favorite websites, logging you in without you having to do anything. Emergency meeting though, big oof, you just found out using the data breach scanner that one of your accounts is in jeopardy. And I don't blame you, because your password is 123456. Come on bruh, not even QWERTY or password. You could have used that password help feature too to figure out how bad that password really was. But hey, with that password generator that they have, you can create one of the strongest passwords out there. Something that Venjix can't even get into. And this password manager is all super encrypted, so even the NordPass team won't have access to it. So what are you waiting for? Check out this exclusive NordPass deal. A 2-year NordPass premium plan with nordpass.com/este, or use the code ESTE. And you even get an additional month for free. Plus you get a 30-day money back guarantee, so why not? So defend your online data and get NordPass today. I remember as a kid actually seeing like fan morphs of these Paleomax Rangers. They would put the OG Mighty Morphin Rangers in their suits. I think that was a cute idea from Ranger fans. I mean, the OG Rangers coming back for the final season, it would have been a cute idea. But also you have to consider how RPM is probably one of the shortest Power Rangers series out there, so there probably just wasn't time for any Paleomax Rangers, even with the budget gone. But fans have been asking the inclusion of this team in the comics for years now. So if the Supersonic team can get an explanation and a whole original Ranger, as well as the Squadron Raiders get a full-on story, I'm afraid these Paleomax Rangers shouldn't be too hard of a challenge. Those Super Sentai teams were new to this universe. These guys had already toys and weapons for you to work off of. And like I said, if you had that Croc Ranger and Whale Ranger, you have a whole new team of RPM Rangers to talk about and explore. But all that hype and talk about the Paleomax Rangers in the comics happened when the comics were really just picking up steam in 2017. Now in 2022, no one talks about them at all, really. I don't blame them. There's nothing really much to talk about anymore. This trio of Rangers was basically a big what could have been for the whole RPM show. Most eBay listings I found of these toys are only selling secondhand figures without any box. So good luck trying to find a whole brand new Paleomax Ranger in a box, because it's gonna be pretty hard to do. You know, this was released in the summer, not a lot were out there. It was pretty hard to find those RPM toys back there, especially in that second half, so this is a tough one. But maybe a revival in the Lightning Collection in the comics would revive the thought of these Rangers in the minds of the fans. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, ddonfuego. I'm also on Instagram, NotDonFuego. Have a good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you're at. And of course, and as always, stay awesome, everybody.